Okay. Hello. Good morning.
Good morning.
Delay. Delay. Uh, am I audible? Sound is okay?
Yes, the sound is okay. Thank you.
Delay.
Yes, it is.
Ge jedan zo ge chonam la janjo bardo dane gyabzo da ye jeje gebe senam ge ndola benjere sange ndo bara sho sange Zogi chonam la chanchu pardo dani gyabso shi dagi chushe gibe sunam gi dola benjire sangi chobara sho sangi chena zogi chonam la chanchu pardo dani gyabso Dola pencere sangen jo bara sho. Mangala. So Dharma
Trong chia sẻ lên. Joy. Yeah. Sorry about that. Just lost the connection. Okay. Hmm. Okay. Hello, everyone. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Hmm. Mhm. Yeah. Good to see you all. Good to see you all. And those of you who are not, whose cameras are not turned on, good to see your names. Okay. Okay. So, today's class is also very tough. Okay. It's very tough for me. Okay. Basically, we will be dealing with the concept of uh, the concept of emptiness. Emptiness. So we did talk about this last week. I mean, a few weeks before that. Um, so I want to like just touch on the words that we discussed last week, the week before, which is the verse number 49, and mm, which is that um, form is not the self, the Buddha taught, and self does not have form, nor dwell in form, while form dwells not in self. Thus, you must see the four remaining aggregates are empty too. So, verse number 49 deals directly with the concept of emptiness. So, there are different, when we, Buddhism is, um, um, when it comes to emptiness, Buddhist teachings have a lot to say. And what we usually refer to as different levels of emptiness, or different levels of emptiness that is understood by different philosophies, or different level of understanding. The most basic one is the one that is spoken here in verse number 49. And so therefore that which is the fact that the the um, the emptiness, the form is not empty. Uh, the form does not, the emptiness does not have a form. The self does not have a form, and the self is not deformed. The self does not dwell in the form, and the form also does not dwell in the self. And so therefore, the self is empty. So the self being empty, the empty nature of the self, emptiness, we call this the emptiness of the self. So the emptiness of the self is what we refer to as, in many Buddhist texts, you will read something called selflessness. So this has got nothing to do with selfish and unselfish. It's got nothing to do with the ethical question of being selfish and not selfish, being considerate, being compassionate and selfish. The two contrasting sort of attitude, selfish attitude and compassionate attitude. So this selflessness has nothing to do with the ethical question of selfish and not selfish. It actually has to do with the very nature of what a self is, very definition of what a self is and what a self is not. So what a self is not at the ultimate level is known as the emptiness of the self. That emptiness of the self is so it's one of the many levels of understanding of emptiness. So we have the emptiness of something called the emptiness of the phenomena, basically everything else. Emptiness of the self, meaning the person, and emptiness of everything else. Of the two, the emptiness of everything else is considered more profound, or not necessarily more profound, but more difficult to grasp. Uh, yeah, like that. So anyway, so the last week's topic was basically on the empty nature of the self. That is what we covered. Yeah, because it's so I will just touch on this for the how do you call that? The verse we discussed last week. So basically, it is about the form being empty and not sorry, the self being not the form, and this and that, right? So it will be easier for you to understand. So there's two way to think it through. When we say self, okay, if it helps, think of a person. So what is a person? What a person is not. So when we say the word self for this particular purpose, when we talk about the self, think of a person. Self means person, like that. Or if it to make it more personal, to make it more personalized for you, whenever the word self comes, think of nothing else, nobody else, everything else. Just think of yourself. Self. This is the self. For example, use your own name, uh, like Tongkhor, right? Self. Just think of when the word self, you see the word self in the text, just think of yourself, like your name, Tongkhor, like that. And then the other thing, the next key thing is the word form. the form, feeling. So basically what we call the five aggregates. So whenever you see the term form, don't think of usually the form means a shape, a certain shape. So when you see the word form here, just think of the body, right? So self is the person, form is the body. So think it that way. It'll be easier for you to start with. Okay. So basically, what the word the verse is talking about is that the person is not his body, right? Form is not the self is not the form. The person does not have a form. Sorry, the self does not have a form, meaning the person doesn't have a body. Uh, the self does not dwell in the form. The person does not dwell in the body. Likewise, the body also does not dwell in the person. So this is the sort of the 5 points that one has to understand. The person is not body. The person does not own a body. The person does not dwell in the body, and the body does not dwell in the person. So 4 truths or 4 points. And this 4 point has to be multiplied by 5 times for the form, for the feeling, for the basically for the five aggregates. Uh, so there's 20 empty nature or 20 forms of emptiness are there. So this is a stepping stone to understanding emptiness on a more profound level. I think mm, so. Just to yeah. So the form is not self. The self is not form, and form is not self. That's easier to understand, right? The person is not the body. The body is not the person. Now, when we say the person does not own a body, right? The person does not own a body, and the person does not dwell or live in the body. Uh, that is more difficult to understand because that is not our popular belief is that this is my body. That means I own this body. This is my body. I own the body, and uh, even though I don't believe, I may not think that I am this body, but there is within this body somewhere, maybe in the head, maybe on the lower part of my body, or maybe somewhere, or maybe all part of my body, somewhere there is me. Tongkhor Rinpoche must be somewhere, maybe in the heart, maybe in the brain, maybe in the lower part, somewhere there must be, right? We always think that, well, most of us are not that that blunt to think that I am the body, but we do have this feeling that I own this body and I live in this body. So here, if you analyze the term, I own this body, right? Ownership means you have total control over something. If you don't have total control over something, it does not, you don't own them. You don't own it. Maybe it's leased to you, huh? When you have total control over a property, car, a house, whatever, then you can do whatever you want with it. And then if you ask yourself, can you do whatever you want with your body? Yeah. Body means every part of your body. If you get sick, can you heal yourself? You cannot. So on and so forth. If you are tired, can you make yourself untired? Like that. If you are sleepy, can you make yourself without depending on external factors like coffee or cold water or whatever, by yourself? If you have total ownership of your body, can you make it work? You cannot. So that means you don't own your body. At the ultimate level, you are not the owner of your body. Uh, like that. And yeah. So on the conventional level, okay, so the person living in a body. On a conventional level, the person is in the body, right? Well, of course, the person is not outside the body. And so therefore, on a conventional level meaning like when we have a talk normally, we have to say that the person is within the body. For example, if my body did something, a part of my body do something, let's say something criminal, right? If my hand uh, uh, takes someone else's property by force or by stealth, as thieving, steal something, then I will be responsible. I will be sent to jail. Um, I cannot say, "Oh, it's my hand who did that, so just punish my hand and let me go." You cannot say that. So therefore, in the conventional sense, the person, Tongkhor Rinpoche, Tongkhor is not outside of the body. So, because if my hand does something negative, then Tongkhor Rinpoche's hand do something negative, then Tongkhor Rinpoche will have to take the blame. Yeah. So I'm just saying Tongkhor Rinpoche, you have to use your own name when you think by yourself. So therefore, it feels like Tongkhor Rinpoche is inside of this body. Mm. I think I am inside of my body, dwelling in the body. But if you check very carefully, um, for Tongkhor Rinpoche, for a person to dwell inside the body, what is that person? Who is that Tongkhor Rinpoche to begin with? Because when you take out all the five aggregates, the feeling, the perception, the mental, the consciousness, and the body, right? The physical aspect. When you take out everything, when you take out all the five aggregates, where is the person? There is no person. There is no person other than something that is existing within the five aggregates to be called a person, which is dwelling inside the being, inside the form or inside the person. There is not, right? But we on our casual conversation, we say, "Oh, I am within my body." We will say that because my body, I'm not outside of my body, so it has to either be outside or inside. Since I am not outside of my body, I say I am inside my body. But called that I, that Tongkhor Rinpoche, which I believe to be inside my body, right? My five aggregates. So what is that Tongkhor Rinpoche? Without the five aggregates, there is no Tongkhor Rinpoche to identify to begin with. So therefore, Tongkhor Rinpoche does not dwell in his body. Mm. Sorry about that. Okay. So this is just a recap of what we covered last week. Now today's version. Okay, today's version. Today we're covering verse number 50. Okay. If you have more question about last week and the previous week's topics, you can also ask them in the chat box. Now we will begin verse number 50. Uh, oh, where is it? 풍보 되게 레민 듀레민 랑신 레민 오니 레민 왕주 레민 규메 제민데 미셰 레당 셀레 종 릭즈스. Now English, okay? Um, the aggregates are not a simple whim. From neither time nor nature do they come, nor by themselves from God, or without cause. Their source, you ought to know, is ignorance. From karmic deeds and craving have they come. Oh, yeah. End of the verse. So the aggregates means the five aggregates. Aggregate means the five aggregates. The five aggregates are form, which means all the physical aspect. We just covered this, right? All the physical aspect in your body, in yourself, from the most obvious one, the most the grosser level ones, such as your hands, head. This very easy for everyone to see with naked eye, and then can go very deep to the microscopic level and even deeper than that. Um, the energies within your body, which is also physical. Yeah. So all these are form, the form aggregate. Then you have the emotion, which is called the feeling. Feeling means emotion here. Um, good, feeling good, feeling bad, and feeling neutral. Then you have the perception. So with the perception is to perceive something as, so when something is good, when you're feeling good, you perceive that thing as, when you feel happy, you perceive that as good. When you feel unhappy, you perceive that as bad. When you are neutral, then that thing is normal. Uh, that is perception. And from perception uh, comes the the mental. I forgot that. Uh, I keep forgetting. Yeah, mental formations. So mental formation is that due to um, when you feel good, when you feel happy, you declare something as good, and that good thing is something you want to procure. You want more of the good. The bad thing is something you don't want, so you try to abandon them. So you form your mental thoughts, your mental perceptions based on these feeling and this emotion. And then you have the consciousness, which overlooks all of them. So these are the five aggregates. Yeah. So here we are talking about the five aggregates because a person is based on the five aggregates, even though the person is not the five aggregates. So we talked about form earlier. So form is just one of the five aggregates. So we start with form, but we are talking about all the five aggregates. So five aggregates are the basis for the person, for Tongkhor Rinpoche. I'm based on my five aggregates. I am not my five aggregates. I'm not, uh, I don't own my five aggregates. I don't will dwell in my five aggregates. And the five aggregates also do not dwell within me. But I am the term name Tongkhor Rinpoche is based on my five aggregates. So that thing called five aggregates is very important. Even though it's not the person, it's very important in order to identify what a person is or is not. So therefore, we are talking about the five aggregates here. And the first line of this verse is that five aggregates are not a simple whim. Whim basically means something that you just thought of, imagine, you just wishful thinking, and then comes up. So normally we use the word out of the blue, right? So the five aggregates is not something that came out of the blue, came out of nothingness. So that's the meaning of the first line. Five aggregates are not a simple whim. So now, this how do you call that? This particular sort of statement is an refutation, refuting the ideology of different philosophies in India at that time, different key philosophers other than Buddhism. So this all these questions comes from uh, non-Buddhist. So non-Buddhist just does not mean something very simple and kind of that it's not like all the non-Buddhists are like stupid people. They're all very intelligent, and due to their what we from a philosophical point of view we call through their misconception, they come to a different conclusion than the Buddhism in the philosophically, right? So anyway, so within the non-Buddhist school of thought, or you can say in general in Indian Buddhism, so in Indian like philosophy, there are two main sort of division. So what they usually call the believer and the non-believers. So so believer basically means those who believe in a God, a creator God, or at least some sort of a higher power or higher power there. It can be a person, it can be just an energy, it can be something there, watching all of us, above us, everybody. And that is usually the Indian term or Sanskrit term for that is astik. Astik means those who believe, and nastik means those who do not believe. So which is similar to atheism today. Anyway, those who believe there is a higher power, superpower, it can be a person, it can be energy, it can be anything. So there's something special, superpower that is controlling, that is that is monitoring, not controlling. Some believe it to be controlling, monitoring, observing everything that we do, and everything comes from that fact. So that is called um, the believer system. And then there is even within the philosophical group, even within spiritual religious group, there is a non-believer group. So within the non-believer group, the Buddhism is also part of the non-believer group, because in Buddhism, we don't accept the fact there is a higher power, superpower, something that is controlling, observing, monitoring everything that we do. We do not believe in that. So Buddhism is actually an atheistic uh, tradition or atheistic spiritual path, because the word atheism is um, theistic religion. Theism means a religion that is based on believing a God, a creator God. A is a negative word, so atheism basically means a system of thought that do not believe in the creator God. So therefore, Buddhism is an atheistic religion. It's the atheistic spiritual path. Anyway, so traditionally in India, there's two paths, believer and non-believer. Believer means someone that believes in a God, creator, etc. Non-believer means who does not believe in that, but still talks about developing the mind for something better in the future, etc. So it is still a spiritual path. So most of the Indian tradition, Indian Indian philosophy belong in the um, believer system, right? There are a few that belong in the non-believer system, and Buddhism is also one of them. And here, Master Nagarjuna, in this particular verse, will be dealing with few uh, uh, few believers and one non-believer. Okay. So astic, which is the believer. So then the Gnostic, na astic. Na means no, right? Na, no, nay, all this the same thing. So astic are the believers and Gnostic, na astic. So if you say it very fast, it sounds like Gnostic, but it's basically na astic. Astic is believer, Gnostic is non-believer. So in like overall Indian spiritual history, there is the astic system and the Gnostic system, and Buddhism falls with yeah. So Buddhism falls in the Gnostic system, and in today's time, in especially in today's time, the Gnostic system of Indian thought is the most prominent one. So in India in general, in modern India, uh, among those people who are thinkers and philosophers, or people who are serious about their study of um, their philosophy, their studies, their spiritual path, majority, 99% of Indian philosophers, Indian spiritual practitioners fall under the Gnostic group. Of that, a small percentage is that of the Buddhist. Anyway, so the main part here is these refutations, the statements from this verse number 50. So there are 5 points that are being refuted. Six, I think. The five of them are refuting the astic point of view, the believer's point of view. The last one is, I think maybe two of them are refuting a non-believer's, Gnostic's point of view. Yeah. So now we begin, okay? The aggregates does not come from a simple whim. That basically means um, the aggregates, the five aggregates, the body, the thought, the everything does not come from a fanciful thinking, means it does not come out of the blue. It does not come out of nothingness. It does not come of simple whim, means simple fanciful thinking. So therefore, someone has to think about it, and because of that thought process, everything comes into this world, and that that ideology is being refuted here. Buddhism does not believe, uh, or not necessarily Buddhism. So Nagarjuna is not saying this is what Buddhism believe, this is what you believe, and there are two different truths. Nagarjuna is saying what you are saying is wrong, what I'm saying is right. So you have to, even though when we talk about different philosophy, we say, okay, this is what Buddhism say, this is what they say, this is what they say. But when you actually think about it, you have to think as if that is the actual truth. If you think this is what Buddhism, this is what this is, then you are just collecting different opinions. You're not really engaging in it, right? Yeah. So the first point is that five aggregates are not a simple whim. This is an attack to the Aztec thinkers. Those Aztec meaning those who believe in a creator God, something called the Brahma. There is a Brahmanical, there's a god by the name of Brahma, and he one day just thought that he will create the world, and so therefore the world and every the inhabitants of the world, and because of that, because of his thought power, everything in this world just appeared like that because he thought so. So everything in this world, the houses, the people, the river, the mountain, everything is how to say, fragment of his imagination, Brahma's imagination. And Brahma is not the only one. There are many other Aztec philosophies, like the Brahma, Ishvar, so different gods. In today's, if you bring this into the modern world, you can say Christianity, Islam, Judaism, they all believe that the world is being created by the God, the Jehovah, the Allah, this and that. So this is something refuted by Nagarjuna in first line of this first line. Aggregates are not a simple whim. That means it's not created by Allah, it's not created by God, it's not created by Brahma, it's not created by this and that, like that.
So sorry. You mean in the context of the 50, right? The aggregate
Yes.
that
So
come
not
from
a
which?
single. Yeah, so the first line says the aggregates are not a simple whim. Whim means wish. Whim means just whatever you just think. Very fanciful
Yeah,
thinking.
yeah, yeah. So it's not
That's called a
coming
whim.
from the thought, not coming from the wish, right? It's
Yeah,
coming
it's not coming from
naturally.
the wish. So
Yes.
it's not coming from the wish means it's not coming from the wish of the creator God.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But why you say that is coming? The first concept here is different from the Arctic, right? The Arctic, they said
Yeah,
that it's coming from the wish, right? So you
yeah,
are
yeah, yeah.
to explain
This is
on
this
the
is an
Arctic
Aztec.
concept.
This
Yeah.
yeah, this is an Aztec thought. Yeah, this is a believer's thought process. So basically, there are different thoughts like coming from this. So believers' point of view will be refuted, and there are also
Okay.
non-believers' point also will be refuted. And then Nagarjuna will lay out his own thought after this.
Okay. So
Yeah,
he's trying to tackle the view of
he's
the
out.
Arctic.
Yeah,
Try to
correct,
tackle the view of the Arctic, right? Okay. I
correct,
understand
correct.
yeah. Okay.
Um, so the Aztec and the Gnostic. The Aztecs are believer. So in ancient Indian sort of spiritual history, the Aztecs are believe people sort of respect and how to say, regard the Aztec tradition as higher than the Gnostic tradition. So, for example, like the Buddhist tradition in ancient India, I mean, we read about different things, but actually in ancient India, the non the believer systems. are regarded as more superior in terms of a faith, in terms of a religion. In terms of religion, the Aztec traditions are considered superior to the Gnostic tradition. So Buddhism is considered like inferior to other like Indian religion at those times. So there is like Buddhism may be like the second last or the third last of all the spiritual path in ancient India. That is according to history. Because Buddhism does not believe in a creator God. So from a contemporary thought process, from that time, if you think of people at that time, not believing in a God is something like not respecting your parents, right? So not having a elder to respect because you don't believe in God, you don't believe in a creator. So what are you talking about? If you think that everything just come out of itself, like what are you trying to get at? So therefore you are someone without a head. When a snake or any animal, you need a head. So without a God, without a creator, means you have no head. So therefore, even though, uh, so one thing that saves Buddhism from falling apart, falling off from the grid of all the philosophical sort of the ancient Indian philosophy that is very highly respected, is that Buddhism does believe still. Buddhism claims to believe, or Buddhism believes in karma, law of causality. So therefore, Buddhism is not kicked out of like all spiritual sort of tradition, but it still sits on the very last sort of end of spiritual sort of line. Because it doesn't have a head. You don't believe in a God. That means you don't have a head. You don't have a father. You don't have a mother. You don't have anything to begin with. So you cannot be considered seriously. You cannot be taken seriously. So that is the idea. The only thing that saves the Buddhism from falling off is the idea of law of causality. That is like when you look at all the school of thought in India overall, that is what people believe at that time. Uh, and in today's time, only the Gnostic traditions are alive. The Aztec traditions, when it comes to serious philosophical studying, all the Aztec tradition has now vanished. Only the Gnostic traditions remain now. So that's the first line is an attack to those who believe that the world is being created. The world is created by the world. The world is a product of someone's whimsical thought, just because someone thought so. In fact, it's believed that um, the god Brahma. So most likely it's attacking the Brahminical thinking. So it's believed that according to the Brahminical sort of philosophy, it's believed that Lord Brahma, the creator of the unit, the so-called creator of the universe, was one day he was bored and then he just yawned like that. So when he yawned, people sort of the universe got sort of started. So he was very bored with whatever he was doing or he was not doing, and then he yawned. When he yawned, from the yawning, from his uh, yawning came the universe, and then so there are different levels of people, like superior level of people, like lower level. All these things came from his sort of his mouth, his armpit, and like different things. So anyway, that is that belief. So this is basically an attack on that. There is no way that the five aggregates, or basically the person, just comes out of someone's fanciful thinking. Mm. Because uh, if they arise because of his whimsical thinking, then they can also be disappeared due to his whimsical thinking. Which is not the case. People disappear due to their cause and condition. People appear due to their cause and condition. I'm here only because of my father and mother. That's my cause and condition. And when the cause and that is my cause, and the conditions are the food that I eat, the environment that I live in. And when these things become uh, worse from bad, then I will disappear from this world. So that is the causes and the conditions that I'm dependent on, not someone's wishful thinking. That is the first line, attack to the first line. Now we go to the next one, which is from neither time nor nature do they come. So this is a general attack to majority of the Aztec sort of the believer system. That in general, I think that is an attack to all the Aztec and non-Aztec, basically all the non-Buddhist school of thought. All non-Buddhist school of thought believe time to be permanent, time to be eternal, and there is the reference for that. Usually they are referred to as the eternalist. They refer to the time as an eternal. That that they also believe it is also believed that from their point of view that the body and the person is also eternal, permanent. We are just changing the shape. The person is always there, especially those who believe in the next afterlife, except for only one school of thought in Indian philosophy. Every other school of thought believe in the afterlife, next life. So when you are changing into different, like if you go from this life to the afterlife, you are still the same person. You're just changing your shape. If you go to if you are a movie actor, you may have to change your characters, you may have to change your clothes, but you are the same person, right? um, so therefore it's the same person, but it's just changing his clothing. His clothing means his skin is being um, changed, turned from a rabbit skin to a donkey skin to a American skin to a Vietnamese skin, etc. So therefore, but the person is permanent. That is the belief. So the belief that the time is eternal, person is permanent. So that is being attacked here. Uh, so those who believe that the person comes from time immemorial, yeah, that is what it means by from time. So it does not come from the time. Once again, the same thing. Everything comes from cause and conditions. Everything comes from causes and sustains through proper conditions. Without that, if time is permanent, the problem is if time is permanent, if time is eternal, then you have to like go deep into time. Let's say when you talk about time, there is, for example, we have like 12 hours in a time, right? We have 12 months in a year. We have 12 hours in a day. We have 365 days in a year, so on and so forth. So if time is permanent, then the year should be permanent. A century should be permanent. A millennia should be permanent. If a millennia is permanent, a century should be permanent. If century is a permanent, then a decade should be a permanent. Then a year should be permanent. So basically coming down all the way to, let's say, an hour should be a permanent. If an hour is a permanent, let's say we begin our class at 10 o'clock. If 10 o'clock is permanent, this conversation, this class is never going to end because it's permanent, it's eternal. Because the hour is not eternal, a day is not eternal, therefore a month is not eternal, therefore a week, a month, a year, a century, a millennia, an eon, so is not eternal. So therefore eternity is not eternal. In fact, eternity is non-existent. So if the aggregates don't come from eternity, from time, then where does it should come from? It comes from cause and condition. So therefore, neither from time is an attack to all the non-Buddhist school of thought in that time, because they all believe time to be permanent and eternal. From time and then from nature. So from nature, it is believed by most Aztec tradition that mm, uh, the universe is being created by the creator God, or the Brahma, Ishvara, or from from a more modern perspective, like Allah, or the God, right, etc. So in that understanding, that the God created the universe, and everything that is revolving, happening in the world is naturally happening because of the God's grace, and etc. So the idea is that if it's happening through God's grace, then it's not natural. Because nature, by the very meaning of the word nature, means it's happening by its own, by itself. If it's through happening through God's grace, it's not happening by itself. Because God's grace is the external factor that is pushing it. Uh, we already talk about how it cannot be the God's grace, because it has to be through a cause and condition only. If something is started by God's grace, then it should also be ended by God's grace, and so therefore God's whimsical thinking, that is also already dealt with in the first line. So um, everything comes from nature, right? The five aggregates come from nature. That idea is uh, those people who hold that idea that everything comes from nature also hold the idea that nature is created by the God. So if nature is created by the God, by that very definition, that nature is not nature. Because for something to naturally arise means to arise by itself, to sustain on its own. If it's created by the God, then it's not natural. If it's not natural, then it's not created by God. So in this case also, so these are the two refutations to be made in the second line. Neither from time nor from nature they come. They meaning the five aggregates. Then from nature, and then then the next line, the verse number, line 3, third line from this verse, nor by themselves. Okay, so there are actually three statements to be refuted, to be attacked: by themselves, from God, and without cause. There are three. Uh, so you might, okay. So the first one, by themselves. This is more easy to understand. It is not. The first one is by itself. If something exists or something is created by itself, then it should be once again eternal. If I can create myself, then I don't need my parents to create me. So therefore procreate me. So therefore I can always keep creating myself over and over again. And so therefore I will become eternal. And you can use the same logic to everything else. If I am eternal, then my age is also eternal. Let's say I'm my age of let's say I'm 50 years old, and then my age of 50 years is eternal, because that 50 years old will be perpetually creating itself, so that I will always remain 50 years old. Yeah. So therefore, I will never become older than 50 years old. If I never become older than 50 years old, that means I have never became in the past. I've never been, sorry, I've never been any younger than 50 years old. Because 50 years is where I am at, and I will always be like that. So in this case, for example, if a baby is born, the baby is creating itself, the baby comes from itself, then the baby will always remain as a baby, because the baby keeps creating itself as a baby. Because if the baby starts to create, let's say, a 5-year-old kid, then the baby becomes the creator of the 5-year-old. The baby and the 5-year-old become two different person. So self-creation means itself. The baby should be creating itself. The baby keeps creating the baby like that. If that is the case, the baby never becomes older, right? The baby always remains a baby. if you are an 80-year-old person, you always remain 80 years old. You never become 1 year young. You have never been 1 year younger. You will never become 1 year older even. So self-creation, even though it's a belief system that is in India quite popular once upon a time, but self-creation is something uh, something that is quite easy for us to understand, for to negate. Mm. Yeah. So this is refuting the self-creation system. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, you might think that, okay, how can the other school of thought, philosophy, because be so stupid, thinking that everything is created from themselves, like the baby created from self-creation is such a stupid idea. How can they ever say something like that? To be honest, like they didn't exactly say that like that. They do use the term self-creation, but what they are trying to say was what they're trying to prove was eternalism, that they were trying to say that time is eternal. In order to prove that, what they were doing is that they were using the logic of self-creation in the sense that the example that they used was a seed and a tree. So a tree comes from a seed, which came from a tree, which came from a seed, which came from a tree. Basically, so it just continues. Or you can use that example of um, a hen and an egg. So the hen comes from an egg comes from an egg, and so therefore you can say that is a self-creation. So, but the Buddhist idea is that this is not a self-creation. So the hen comes from an egg means the egg and the hen are two different things. So therefore, it's not a self-creation. Self means just one. So the egg has to keep creating the egg. In order for the egg to how to say uh, lay an egg, it has to become a hen first. If the egg does not become a hen, the hen will not be able to hatch, lay an egg. Only after laying the egg as a hen, that egg hatches and become a hen. And then for the hen to give birth to another hen, it also has to sort of transform itself in a way to an egg. Then the egg hatches, and then the chicken or the hen comes out. So therefore, the transformation takes place, and not only that, the hen and chicken are two person, not the same person. So it's not the self creation. So the logic, I mean, the hen, the chicken thing is something that I just used right now in the sutras, in the text. Ancient texts, they talk about the seed, the sap, the seed, and the tree. The seed comes from a tree, the tree comes from a seed, so on and so forth. So therefore, it's a self-creation. So therefore, let's say a seed is eternal. So we talked about this earlier. A person is eternal, right? This is what the other school of thought say. You just keep changing our clothes, but the person just keep remaining until eternity, and that's being refuted by Buddhist school of thoughts. Then it does not come from God. So you might think, what is the difference between the first line and the third line? Because the first line, it says the aggregates not come from a simple whim, and simple thought means coming from the wishful thinking of Brahma. And now there's a mention of God. So two gods here. So when you attack one god, I mean, you are already automatically canceling out all the rest. So basically, it's just a matter of different school of thought. The first one is an attack against the Brahminical schools, and the one that this one, the when you say God, it's refuting the claims made by the um, those who believe Lord Shiva, Lord Shiva as the creator of the universe. So in modern Hinduism, like it's a little bit like kind of murky, complicated. Some say that Shiva created the world. Some say that Brahma created the world, etc. Some say the Vishnu created the world. And the reason is because over the last thousands of years, all these different school of thought, different philosophical school, most of them has merged into each other. vanished into each other. So therefore, what is remaining now is a mix up of everything. So therefore, there are different claims such that Ishwar is the creator, Brahma is the creator, Shiva is the creator, Vishnu is the creator. So for like that, because as I told you before, only the Gnostic tradition now remains. All the Aztec tradition has gone. In the so like okay, in the philosophical um, sort of community I'm talking about. Okay, in general in India, most majority of Indians are still Aztec, not Gnostic. But people who are thinkers, philosophers, scholars, they mostly belong to the Gnostic tradition, not the Aztec tradition. Mm.
Okay, so the normal people are Arctic.
Normal people are Aztec, yeah, 100% are Aztec.
Okay, okay,
Like 99% are Aztec, you can say.
okay.
Only
I,
the scholars are Gnostic. So basically, when you talk about a tradition, the philosophical school of thought, the Gnostic tradition remains. Aztecs are all gone. But when you talk about the general public, they're all Aztec. They're all believers.
okay, thank you. It's very clear. I will explain everyone again. Thank you.
So the last attack is on the nihilistic tradition. So the Gnostic one. So it says not by themselves, not from the God, and without a cause. So that the five aggregates come from no causes. There is no cause. It comes from no cause. It doesn't need a cause to come by. So it's similar to self-creation, but they're actually extending it a little bit further. They're saying that it doesn't even need a cause. For the five aggregates to exist, it doesn't even need a. I mean, they're worse than those who say they by themselves, self-creation, because self-creation talks about I'm my own creator. So, that the chicken creates the egg, right? Egg creates a chicken, so on and so forth. There is a sort of a thought process here. But they are saying that you don't even need a chicken to have a chicken. You don't even need to have an egg to have a chicken. So they're fetching very far. And that particular school is called the Charvaka tradition. So it must not be confused with the Sharavaka, S, which is Buddhism. Then it's a Charvaka, which is start with C, Chark, Char, Vaka, Charvaka, not confused with Sharvaka. So Charvaka is considered the in the letter in the letter of all the philosophers in India, Indian philosophies of ancient India. The Charvaka is the last one. The is the one that is ridiculed by everyone. Nobody sort of how to say. Everybody criticized that tradition. Okay, so they're usually we call that the nihilistic tradition. They go to the nihilistic extreme. So they don't believe in God. They don't believe in cause and condition. So the very reason they're saying things come from their own is they don't want to accept the fact that things need to have a cause to be created. If there is a cause to have an effect, there is the system of cause and effect. If the cause and effect is there, then the master of that philosophy, the Sankhya the Charvaka philosophy, he has a problem. I will explain what that problem is later. So he has a problem if there is a cause and condition. If you go by the logic of cause and condition, there is a problem for him. So he does not accept the cause and condition. He does not accept God. He does not accept anything beyond this world. So afterlife is also non-existent. So Charvaka tradition, for a specific reason, he has to say that there is no cause and condition. And so because of that, he is saying that the five aggregates come from no causes. And Nagarjuna is saying if thing can come from no causes, then the thing does not have to how to say become non-existent. Because as long as it is there, it is there. It does not need a cause. That means it doesn't, if there is no need for a cause, it cannot come into this world. Because how does it come into this world without a cause? How without a factor? If it is there, then it can never come into this world, If it is there, it can never be destroyed or removed from this world because does not need a cause. That is the Charvaka tradition which Nagarjuna is attacking. There may be many reasons, philosophical reasons, spiritual reason, but one of the most obvious reason is because the master of the Charvaka master, the creator, the founder of the Charvaka tradition, he is a very, let's call it this way, he's a very freestyle man. So he wants to do whatever he wants to do. Okay. He does whatever he wants to do. And his followers are also of that kind. Just do whatever you want to do without any, what is the word? Re consequences. Yeah. And there is always a consequence. If you do something bad comes. If you do something good, good thing come. So there is always a consequence as long as you do something. Unless you remove the idea of cause and condition. If there is no causes and conditions, right? I mean, of course, in reality, there is cause and condition, but in his ideology, in his group or his followers, which is thousands anyways. So, uh, in his group, if you don't abide by the law of causality, then you can do whatever you like. Law of causality basically means the law of karma. So he has to get rid of karma, the concept of karma. If there is karma, because we always fear if I steal from someone, if I do something bad, then something bad will happen to me in next life or after this or whatever. So he has to kick out karma in order to do his freestyle activities. So therefore, that's the main reason. And many people who like his sort of um, idea, um, which is a bit of anarchism as well, a bit of a freestyle. Actually, something very similar came into India, like in the 70s, by the name Osho. It's very famous. You may have read some of the books. Of course, his sort of thinking and ideology, everything sort of progressed and changed bit by bit as he turned older. But in the beginning, that's very much his idea, anyways. So anyway, the main point is he needs to get rid of the idea of the concept of karma, because with karma comes consequences. So for him to have a free card, wild card, and for everybody in his group to have a wild card, meaning free hand, he get rid of the concept of cause and condition. If there is no cause and condition, then he can do whatever he likes. So one of the main reason was that it is said that so out of his many freestyle adventure, he has many partners, and he has many. So one of the partner has a very beautiful daughter. So one of his own daughter, very beautiful, extremely stunningly beautiful, attractive, and he wants to sleep with her, which the daughter, of course, she reject the idea because his father. Then he said the concept of father and daughter is non-existent. The concept of, and then she was afraid of what will happen in the afterlife. And he said, there is no such thing as an afterlife. There is no such thing as a father and daughter, because a father and daughter means cause and condition, cause and effect, cause and result. There is no such thing in cause and effect, so on and so forth. And then you can say he manipulated his daughter to sleep with her. So he created such a, you can say in today's time, you can say a very sick culture to drive his agenda. Anyway, this is an attack against the Charvaka tradition. Yeah. In today's kids, like today's generation, they use an acronym called YOLO, YOLO, which means you only live once. And they think it's something modern. It's nothing modern, okay? This was said actually 3,000, 4,000 years ago by the founder of Charvaka. So what he said was one must enjoy one's life. One must enjoy your life until its end. Because after this, there is nothing else. You only live once, YOLO. And after that, he slept with his daughter. So before using, so something to think about, okay? when you use YOLO. Think. So the young kids listening to this talk, keep this in mind. If someone tells you that this is just do it for one time, yeah, it's nothing bad. Nobody died from doing it one time. Then you should think carefully, okay? So according to Buddhism, none of these are valid. The valid thing is that it comes from a cause and condition, and the cause is called, there are three causes for the five aggregates for the person to be born. This is ignorance is one of them, ignorance. The second one is karma, action. Then the third one is craving. So out of ignorance, you engage in an action, and that action has a consequence, a result, an effect. And on top of that, these are the two causes: ignorance and ignorance and karma is the cause, and craving is the condition. So normally, a lot of people say, right, even among spiritual people, they say, "Oh, I'm so fed up of this world. I don't want to be born in this world. I want to be born in the Amitabha's land." Blah blah blah. All this thing. Even those people, they still are attached to, let's call it this way, they're still attached to their family, their household, their names, their everything. And we call this love. Okay. I'm worried about my kids graduating, about my parents, blah blah, like this and this and that. There is, and you mix up the craving, the attachment, and the love, and everything together. So basically, you still want to remain with your loved ones. You still want your house. Still want to retain your property, etc. So therefore, that craving is still there to come back to samsara. No matter you keep saying, "I want to be born in Pure Land," there's always that craving. So ignorance, karma as a cause, and craving as a condition, you always come back to samsara. You always come back to this world. So therefore, the five aggregates are created through these three causes and conditions: ignorance, karma, and craving. Thank you. And I conclude the class here. And then there's some questions. I will answer all of the questions. Maybe it will take like 5 to 10 minutes more, okay? So bear with me for this. So the first question is, if I receive an empowerment from a teacher of another lineage, is that permissible? Yes. Do I need to ask permission from my refuge master before doing so? That would be very good, yes. If I receive the empowerment but do not engage in the corresponding practice, would that be considered a fault? Yes. So all three questions, yes, yes, yes. Then the fourth question is, if it is appropriate to practice, what should I be mindful of when integrating it with my current practices? So the last one needs an answer, right? The first four are all yes, yes, yes. So this one is that so this you have to before you go to receive a sort of initiation, you will have to sort of how to say, check what are the uh, what are the commitments. The commitments, whenever you take a initiation, some have commitment, some does not have a commitment. So if you check the commitment, if the commitments align with the current commitments you have, then it's easier. Then you should just go. If the commitments do not align or it's additional, let's say the first commitment, when you have, let's say, generisic practice, right? Avalokiteshvara practice, it says do 100, let's just say, okay, 100 Om Mani Padme Hum. When you take the Tara practice, they will say do 100 Om Tare Tudare Ture Soha. So that means one additional commitment is there. So are you able to do that or not? So you have to think for yourself like that. Yeah. I think from the same person, two more questions. So the second line of question is, one of the 14 secret vows is to reveal the teachings and practice of Vajrayana to those who have not yet received the empowerment or the instruction of the Buddha's principal deities. Would this mean that those who frequently post such teachings on social media are violating this vow, or is it possible that before posting they have sought permission from Buddha themselves? Okay, so it's a good question. This is from the 14 secret vow or the yeah, of the tantric. Uh, in general, there is a. I mean, we all know that. For example, if you say like recite the mantra of Omara Pajanati or like the Manjushri has two hand, one sword. Basically, the obvious ones that you can see in the imagery. The obvious one, if you reveal these to people, it is not considered revealing the secret of the Vajrayana, because whatever is like the visible to the people. But then each practice has its own specific sort of method, technique. And these techniques are not to be shared with others who have not yet received the initiation. And especially not to reveal the secret, the 14 secret vow is referring mainly to in the Vajrayana, there's something called, there are four levels, okay? The highest Yoga Tantra, Anuttara Yoga Tantra, the highest level. So many of the technique in that um, path cannot be shared to people who have not yet received the initiation. So mostly, whenever there is a Anuttara Yoga Tantra initiation going on, it's never made public, it's never made online. They may record that in camera, but only those who have received it can view that. Uh, but usually the lower tantras and then the anything lower than the Anuttara Yoga Tantra usually does not have that much of a restriction, can be shared. So one more question. Okay. Yeah. So in the Anuttara Yoga Tantra, usually you talk about channeling your energy through your body here and there. So this part is only revealed after receiving initiation. In most of the lower Tantra, that specific thing is not revealed anyways. So therefore, it's not a big deal. So even though that we often fall into so the last question, we often fall into the fault of violating one of the sacred vow, which is to speak with contempt about one's close family members. But sometimes when they make genuine mistakes and misunderstanding, can we, yeah, naturally this could involve situations where the person has made. So basically, the answer is this: if it's a genuine mistake, yes, you can, of course. So, criticizing the action, the act, not the actor, right? Even if you criticize someone, the thing is this: in your heart, you should have compassion. You should not have like, don't talk bad about your colleagues, spiritual brothers and sisters out of contempt. If they, let's say, they are not doing something properly, if your friends, if your spiritual Dharma friend has made some mistake, then genuinely criticizing or genuinely pointing out their mistake is good. Especially if you can tell them to their face, if you are close to them, you can tell them to their face, or you can tell them to someone. So this person is making a mistake, then they are a very good friend, right? And you tell him to tell her to correct his mistake. That's actually very good. Okay. But if you do it out of how to say, to shame that person, to out of contempt, out of jealousy, then that's a mistake. So this one of the 14 faults, one of the rules, not criticizing your Dhamma brother and sister, basically means just pointing fingers and gossiping about someone. If there is someone is making a real mistake, then you can point out, no problem. Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you everyone for your patience and for 15 extra minutes. Really appreciate all of you. Yeah. Dedication, dedication, dedication.
Gewa di nyurdo da lama sangye drugyoro nyen jowa chi Kye sala ge bara sho chanjo semjo chenpo che ma ge banam ge gyurosh ge ba nyam bara me bara yam kone kondo pe wara sho me me ze ve de re chen chen re se me gen pe wine boy John be yang de boy my lu jo man ze song we da gan jin ke ben zo ge zong gan ba Loi zon chai be shai lai so wan de Loi zon chai be shai lai so wan de den be ning bo zin be be nga shen na man do yue gen la chang chu lao san xue ye jam ze cho gen do den ge zho den tam Zawande.
Thank you, Rinpoche Lão. Cảm
Thank
ơn
you.
cụ.
Thank you,
Các
Rinpoche.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you,
anh chị
Mr.
em,
Dang.
các
Thank you for your work. Thank you for translating.
Thank you,
cảm ơn
Rinpoche.
thầy, cảm
Cảm
ơn
ơn
tất cả anh em
anh
đã